Today, we will have Mr. Marcus Mahitani hosting a discussion on online experience in higher education. Mr. Mahitani is an English lecturer at Centro Escolar de Mexico Junior College, and he will be accompanied by four CMGC students who will be sharing their online learning experience. The discussion will last for approximately 35 minutes, and in the end, there will be a 5-minute segment for question and answer, where you'll be able to ask your questions directly to the students. Mr. Mahitani, you may commence your panel discussion.
Well, welcome everybody. Today we have with us four wonderful students from SEMJC. I'd like to welcome them all. We have Erika, Yadira, Jency, and Kevin. Guys, welcome. Today's discussion is about the online experiences of you guys. You know, we've been in this for about a year now, and it's like to know what it's been like for you guys. So I'm gonna start off with some questions, and I'd like to get your feedback. So the first question is, we've been in this for about a year now. We haven't had a class on campus in about a year, like I said, and I want to know, what was your initial reaction when you first heard that we wouldn't be coming back to class and everything would be online for the rest of the semester up to today? So let's start with Erika.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Erika Oak. I am in the Tourism Management Program. I'm a second-year student at Centro Escolar Mexico Junior College. My initial reaction upon learning that classes were going to be held online were mixed, especially because one part of me was happy that we were going to reduce the risk of getting infected by what was going on at the moment. And another part of me was so confused, and I was scared because I didn't know what online was going to be. I didn't know the experience that we were going to receive, because it was the first time ever since I've been in primary school that I was going to have online classes, and I wasn't aware of all the things that need to happen during the online classes.
Yes, I would imagine it's a lot of disorientation, right? What about you, Yadira? What was your initial reaction?
Good morning. My name is Yadira. I am a second-year student at CMJC pursuing an associate's degree in agribusiness. First off, I just want to say how privileged and grateful I am to be a part of this conference. And to answer the first question, I was downhearted to know that I won't be able to be at school and enjoying all the activities that I had planned for me at the ending of my third semester. When I got the news that we won't be having regular classes, it's going to be exclusively online, my heart dropped at that point, and I began to ask myself, like, what would even become of this, or how will I even get through this?
Okay, thank you, Yadira. Let's hear from you, Jency. What was it like when you first got the news that we wouldn't be coming back to campus?
Hi, good morning. My name is Jency Enamorado. I am a first-year student. I am delighted to say that I am enrolled in the Biology and Natural Resource Management course. I am also a proud member of the Centro Escolar Mexico Junior College. I am a soldier at the Belize Defense Force, and it's an honor for me to stand before you all during this online conference. Let me start off by saying that, firstly, I was excited, but at the same time, I was freaked out. Excited for the fact that it would be like a new challenge for me, and freaked out because I asked myself, how will I get this done? Will I understand? Will I be able to cope with my teacher and what he or she's trying to teach me? That is how I felt at the beginning of the online classes.
Okay. Yes, thank you as well, Jency. I'd like to hear from you, Kevin. What was your reaction?
Kindly unmute yourself, Kevin. No, we cannot hear you. Kevin, maybe you can leave the meeting and then log in back again to see if that helps.
Okay, well, let's proceed with the other question in the meantime. I guess, well, you guys, you spoke about your initial reaction. I guess there was a lot of disorientation, confusion, mixed feelings. But if you could sum up everything into one word, we've been in this for a year now, and up to this point, what has been your experience like in one adjective? Can you describe using one adjective? Let me hear from Erika.
Okay, so as I mentioned, like having online classes has been tough. And one word to summarize like the entire experience I've been having is demanding. Demanding because you need to put a little more of a dedication and effort to online classes. And I think that students are not the only ones who are facing this adversity right now. Teachers also have to adjust to the new changes. And I know that it's not only students that are going through it, and teachers are making the best of it. So I am so thankful to all the teachers that have been giving their efforts and everything into helping students and making sure that we are guided as we should, and making sure that it is a smooth transition.
Yes, I imagine it's very demanding on a lot of aspects of your life, right? So thank you, Erika. Yadira?
So far, I would say my online learning experience is interesting because I wanted to see what this new normal would be like for me in the beginning and in the longer run. And after finally experiencing it for over a year, I didn't even realize that I became a good multitasker. And for me, that is interesting.
Very good. I like that adjective as well. Very interesting, demanding, excellent adjectives. Both of them perfectly epitomize our experiences. I mean, as a teacher as well, I can say I have found it interesting and demanding as well. So nice to hear from students. What about you, Jency?
My adjective would be fascinating because I never thought I would be able to cope with this online learning. However, I've been through it and I'm very thankful because this can help me in the longer run. Thank you.
Okay, thank you as well. Very good, Jency. Yes, it is. It can be fascinating, I guess, in some degrees, right? Which brings me to my next question, guys. We've mentioned our initial reactions or how we found it so far, but I would imagine there's been quite a few challenges. In fact, I would say a lot more than one. So, can you tell me of all the challenges you guys have faced over this past year? Online learning is a challenge itself, but what would you say has been the biggest challenge in regards to your field, to your program, and what adjustments have you made? We know it's all about making adjustments and conquering these challenges. So if you can tell me what adjustment have you made, what's been your biggest challenge and your adjustment towards it? So we'll begin with Erika.
Yes, there's surely been so much challenges that I personally faced, especially managing personal life with school. There are times that my mom asks me for a favor and then she wants me to do it at that precise moment, and then I have work to do And sometimes when I leave to go and do the favor for her, I lose concentration. And then it's just like, it's just difficult balancing both of them. And especially one of the challenges that I face also is that I have a little sister who's currently in high school. So we both have only one device, and then her cell phone sometimes doesn't work properly as it should when she's having online classes. And then there are times when our schedules clash, and then she wants the laptop and I need it also for my classes. And sometimes we need to reach to that agreement on how we're going to share our device. And it's just a little bit difficult because I don't want her to fail, and then I don't want to fail myself. So we just need to balance out or have schedules on when I can use the computer and when she can use it also.
True, very good. I guess with this online learning, technology has become increased. We've had an increase in demand for technology, right? So,
Excuse me,
excellent.
sir. Excuse me, sir. Can you hear me?
Yes, yes, I can, and
Okay.
I'd like to welcome you back, Kevin. Thank you. Um, so, technology is an issue for a lot of people these days, and I would imagine a very big challenge for those who do not have access to it. So, thank you, Erika. Yadira, what about you? What's been your biggest challenge? I know you study agriculture. Uh, I can list a few challenges, but I'd like to hear from you. What's been the biggest challenge for you? How have you adjusted to it?
Okay,
Yadira?
so agriculture is about getting the information, understand what it is about, and then putting it into practice. My biggest challenge has been having that hands-on experience. On campus, I would have my lecturer walk with me to the campus and demonstrate how to properly sow a sweet pepper seed and then challenge me after. But now I'm on online classes and I hear my lecturer talking to me, explaining the terms, but sometimes it doesn't really register fully in my head because I learn by doing. So I feel like there is a barrier somehow. And to combat this challenge, I had to prepare myself both mentally and physically because this meant that I had to actually invest more time in teaching myself what I saw on the YouTube videos and the different handouts and what I gathered from my online sessions. So I love a good challenge and I decided to become a small business entrepreneur. And while deciding that, I had to borrow a small plot of land, I had to save and use the savings for seedlings and equipment. And I was unsupervised because I don't have my lecturer with me physically. So I dedicated my time and went out into the fields and practiced what I already knew in the soil. Now, weeks after weeks, I did the trial and errors, and I said, hopefully, this would give me some input, some output. And it did after a few weeks. I saw the brighter side of things. And when I thought, okay, I gained the knowledge that I needed, and I began to input more into my online sessions, I said, this is it right here. I don't need to go no farther. And the positive side of all of this, I began to see that the local farmers here actually came and they recognized me and they shared their techniques that they had, and the community at large, they encouraged me to actually sell what I call my trial and errors. And they told me to don't quit because I know what I'm doing by now. Thank you.
Yes, very good. Yadira, I can sense you're very passionate about agriculture and all that. So excellent that you're able to turn around a challenge into something positive. Very good. Jency, how has it been like the challenge for you and the adjustment?
Well, my biggest challenge would have been studying and working at the same time. As I previously mentioned at the beginning, I'm a soldier. And let me start off by sharing my day-to-day experiences. My classes usually start at 8 and finishes all the way at 1:30 in the evening or at 3 o'clock in the evening. After 3 o'clock, I have 2 hours, which I consider it my free time, in which I either make my lunch or I go wait and prepare myself for me to head to work, because I usually reach early so that if I have any tasks in which I have to do, I would do it early and comply with it. During that period of time while I'm at work, because I usually work from 6 to 6, I I have my weapon with me, and then I also have some work in which I have to review. I have some work with homework which my teacher have sent, or probably group works or whatever it may be, right? And so it is very challenging for me trying to be at work and trying to complete and trying to finish my task, because I also have a due time. But I always keep on persistent. I always commit myself to it. I always do my best. And that is what I've been doing lately for me to keep up with my grades. Thank you.
Okay, thank you as well, Jency. Very good. So being a student that works and studies at the same time makes it a bit more challenging than just doing one or the other. So excellent for being very optimistic, Jency. So Kevin, yes, I believe we have Kevin now. Kevin, I'd like to, if you can give us a brief introduction, then we'll start with the first question.
Good morning, everyone. I'm so sorry for the technical difficulties I had. My name is Kevin Hiron. I am a student from CEMGC. I am in first year. I am an information technology student, and it's an honor, a pleasure being with you guys today here to share my experience of online classes with you all.
Thank you, Kevin. It's also a pleasure to have you here. Tell me real quickly, what was your initial reaction when you knew that?
My initial reaction when they said online classes, it was a bit curious and worried at the same time, because I didn't have an idea how online classes would be, and I was really like curious to know how these classes would help me, or if I would get benefit from them, if I would learn. I was that made me feel curious and worried. So I really wanted to know I wanted to experience what was online, but at the same time I was frightened.
Okay, very good, very curious, and described a lot of. So, some one word, one adjective. You said curious already, but do you have another adjective that would describe your overall experience up to this point, 1 year later?
My overall experience, sadly, I would say disappointing, because online has so many mistakes. Yeah, online classes has so many mistakes, Wi-Fi problems, poor image viewing of some classmates. Just starting the meeting, just now it was shown that my audio was not working, right? The same thing happens in classes, and we have this difficulty sometimes. It's raining and we cannot listen to the teacher well because of our country's connection, right? Not all of us afford to have the same internet connection speed, right? So that causes us a lot of difficulties during online classes.
Yeah, interesting, Kevin. I would imagine a student that studies information technology like yourself will have 1,000 challenges. Uh, one challenge, how you've been able to accommodate or make an adjustment. What's been the biggest challenge of our?
I would say my biggest challenge would be my neighbor. I live beside a mechanic, and all day they are working and making noise with machines, and it's like really noisy. It's not like if I would be at school and the campus would be so quiet and the teacher's explaining, right? And we are in an environment to learn. But at home, I live right beside a mechanic, and he's always making noise. And even they start working the same time I start with classes, and sadly they end working till I'm still doing homeworks, right? So this I think this was my biggest challenge, but the way I managed to get over it is getting my home the farthest I could from my neighbor, right? And buy a pair of headphones and get concentrated in classes, place my mind that I want to learn, and even if there's some noise, I still try to concentrate my best in class.
Okay, very good, Kevin. Very useful when you have a noisy neighbor. I guess a headphone is very handy, right? Excellent. So now we're up to speed, guys. We've been talking about challenges and our experiences so far, but if we could look at the other side of the coin, uh, as a student, you guys are all students right now. Can you tell me, is there any advantage to online learning compared to traditional on-campus learning? And we'd like to start with Erika.
Okay. So yes, I believe that there are various advantages when it comes to online learning, especially when you get to develop your skills such as time management, also expanding your creativity. How can you make your PowerPoints more interesting for your teachers to view? How can you make this a little more creative and show them that even though you're not with them, that you're still following their guidelines and their directions, and just making a better paper. And one of the things that I really got to learn during this online classes, and I think it's an advantage, is just working under pressure, because there are times when you have a certain deadline to meet and assignments to submit, right? So making use of your time management does really help you a lot. I think that another one is the web services that we are using, such as Google Classroom and Google Meet. We've never, like I mentioned, I've never done online classes before. So getting the knowledge that I need right now, it does really help you. So when you join the workforce, you've already been under pressure, and it just helps you to work better. And I feel like that will be more efficient when you join the labor force.
Okay, thank you, Erica. Very useful info. We're talking about the advantages to online learning, right? Something we almost don't hear much of. So I'd like to hear from Yadira. Has there been any advantage to your experience that you have had in online learning so far? Yadira?
Yes, for sure. As much as I would want to be back in the classroom with my lecturer and my colleagues, the saying goes, there is a silver lining in a gray cloud. And being on this online platform, I am able to use more of my resources in my comfort zone. And these are especially for research purposes, so that it does help me to understand the content that my lecturer has given me, rather than being on campus where I had limited access to majority of these resources in a specific time frame. So I believe that this is an advantage.
All right, thank you, Yadira. Jency, have you seen any advantage as a student that works and studies at the same time? What's been an advantage that you've noticed in this online learning?
One of my biggest advantage, let me say, it's been family time, because I have my mom, with my mom and I, which live together. And my mom is, like, I'm proud to say that my mom is also a student at Centro Escolar Mexico Junior College. She's currently enrolled in not in agribusiness, she's enrolled in business. And she's also pursuing her associate's degree. However, she does classes during the night. And she works during the day and studies during the night, while I study during the day and I work through the night. If traditional classes would have been like normal as before, we would hardly even have time for each other. And since I have online classes, I'm able to be at home. I have more time to spend with my mom than what I usually had before. So I'm very thankful for this online classes as well, because it's an advantage to me to spend more time with my mom, and I'm grateful for that.
All right, thank you as well, Jency. Nice to hear that this is a positive side as well, right? Kevin, don't mind what's up advantage if you had any?
The biggest advantage I have about online classes would be the time as well. But in my case, it's because I can do many things before classes and many things after classes as well. So you get me? I work. Sometimes I work too, and I can easily wake up at 5 in the morning go to work and be at home around 7:45, 7:30, and join classes at 8. While if I would go to school, I would have to wake up still at 5 and do things at home, and then 7 in the morning, I would be heading to school. So that time, traveling time, would affect me, right? That would be taking time as well. And now, because of online classes, I can do many things before classes and after classes as well.
Thank you, Kevin. Well, guys, now I want to talk a little bit about your academic performance. We know there was that disorientation period at the beginning when this was something new. We didn't know what to expect. Teachers and students alike were curious, as Kevin said earlier, and disoriented. Some of your adjectives describe teachers as well. But as students, you guys have been submitting work, carrying on with your grades as normal. Can you tell me a little bit about what your productivity, your academic performance has been like since the beginning? What it was at the beginning and now? Have you seen a consistency? Have you seen a dip in your performance? What has been a little comparison of it from then up to now, 1 year later? And let's start with Erika.
Okay, so grades are have always been important to me, especially since I've begun sixth form, because I always wanted to. I had a goal, and I said I'm going to try to work for my 4.0 every semester. When online classes began, I was still like, what am I going to do? Like, I was doubting myself if I was going to have those consistent grades always. However, I gave myself motivational speeches every single day, and I was like, Erika, you can do this. Don't give up. You have goals to accomplish. So I made sure that those motivational speeches helped me every single day. And then I've always been consistent with my grades. So I think it's within the students for us to give it our all, especially if we have teachers who help us so much that we make that helps us to just feel motivated and just move on with our grades and then submit them on time. Even if we're having troubles, like just update your teachers and tell them. And then if teachers, they're going to give you the best option. And I feel like that's what has helped me, like having a good communication with my teachers and just giving myself motivation, especially with my family, that they're always supporting me. And I think that my grades have been consistent ever since I began online classes also.
Thank you. Very good. Consistency is always good when it's a nice, productive student, right? So, Yadira, what's your productivity been like then and now, 1 year later?
I'm currently taking 7 subjects, which can quite be a very lot of load on me. But even before the pandemic, my academic productivity has always been stable. I have always made sure that I am on the honor roll list. And it has been a rough transition to be using my devices more than before with complementary headaches after. But I said to myself that I need to finish the couple months left and push myself and show everyone that we can do this as a team. And I must keep on giving quality work no matter what to have my degree with a pandemic or without one.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Yadira. It's nice to see you guys have been consistent. Jency, what's your productivity been like then and now so far?
Well, I can tell that thanks to hard work and commitment and persistence, I've been able to keep up with my grades ever since I was in normal traditional classes or online classes. I've always maintained or kept up my grades honor roll, so that wouldn't have affected me in any way because I always try to keep up with my work and try to submit it in time. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Jency. Well, you see, consistency seems to be a trend that is nice. It's a positive thing. So, Kevin, last but not least, let me hear from you in terms of your academic productivity then and now.
Good. I have been an honor roll student from ever since as well. And being at home, I'm still an honor roll student. I have people with the CMPS, right? Um, I feel that online classes is easier to be an honor roll student. You can copy easily. It is easier to aim for a perfect score because everything is on the internet. Rather than being in classes, the teacher would have test you in the classroom and you wouldn't have any gadget around you to copy, right? And which, even though at times we feel like, no, we don't have to copy, we feel tempted, we want that perfect score, and there's when we start to get help from our devices as well. So for me, I have keep with the CMPS. I'm still an honor roll student, but for me, I feel it's easier to be on a roll online.
Okay, very interesting remarks there, Kevin. Thank you. Yes, I know it's very tempting indeed, but as students, I guess we have to look at ethics, right? I'm not a student myself, but I would imagine students, that's an important aspect too. So, guys, we're down to our last question here. You guys have spoken about your experiences, your challenges, your adjustments, your academic performances. But now for our last question, I'd like to know from each one of you, what recommendation as students would you offer to learning institutions to help improve the overall learning experience for students? So let me start with Erika.
Okay, so I'm just going to begin by mentioning, like, again, and by repeating today's theme, which is united in overcoming adversity and embracing change. So I think that theme states perfectly and backs up my answer, because my recommendation would be just that, for teachers and students to come together. Like, I am so blessed to have teachers during, even it was face-to-face classes to right now online classes, my teachers have always been there to help me. And the teachers at Centro are so approachable, and they're always guiding you and further explaining if you have doubts or questions. And I think that having that teacher to student bond, or building it and grow and strengthening it, is very important when it comes to online classes, especially because there are times when you're having problems with the computer and sometimes you miss something. It's always good to have that approach to the teacher and to ask them, can you please explain this to me? And I feel like all my teachers do that for us. Like, especially like Miss Melissa, she always pre-records the classes, or when she's giving instructions. So that helps us to go back to it. And if we have doubts or something, we can just watch the pre-recorded video, and it helps us to answer the doubts we have, which makes it easier. And it's just a smooth transition from finishing and completing all of our assignments.
Thank you. Thank you, Erica. So in other words, for teachers to keep up that good work and keep being approachable and giving time to students, right? Excellent. Yadira, what recommendation would you offer to learning institutions to improve the overall experience for students?
I would say my recommendation would be for the administration or dean. And I don't mean to call out my dean or any other administration officers, but from a student's perspective, I realize that yes, we are trying our best to give excellent online experience, but for them to conduct proper supervision of faculty when delivering their course content. In short, to have a robust quality control program, because with this pandemic, it caught us all unexpectedly, and we should take it as a learning experience and prepare for the worst case scenario. Thank you.
Thank you as well, Yadira. Jency, can we hear about your recommendation for learning institutions?
Let me start off by saying that, as for a fact, I know that as just as to how us students have challenges, our teachers as well have lots of challenges in which they're facing while doing online teaching. But I want to first pick up my teacher. I have a teacher which teach me chemistry, and it's really hard for us to go to the junior college and manage our lab tasks in which, however, Miss Erika, she always tries to find a way to help us. She would go online and find a way in how we can do the lab. So I'm very thankful for that. However, I would also like to recommend my teachers to add a little bit more enthusiasm, while teaching, since it is very challenging for some students to really grasp the information that the teacher is trying to teach. But once with the help of the teachers, like with their enthusiasm and keep those students active, I believe that that will really help them a lot. Thank you.
Thank you as well, Jensen. Very good. Very underrated. Enthusiasm is always an excellent thing. Right? So we have Kevin here. We got 2 minutes left. Kevin, can I hear from you about the recommendation for planning education?
First of all, I would like to say that at CMGC, I have had amazing teachers. All the teachers are so great the way they teach. Like sometimes I even feel lucky for having the teachers I have because they're very understanding and they help you a lot. And if you need help, they will help you. CMGC have great teachers, to be honest. But as we know, our teachers are humans as well, and they are not perfect. They cannot read minds either. Most of the times, because of online classes, a lot of students, just 3 or 4 students are the same ones asking questions over and over, but not all students ask questions. Some students feel nervous, some of them feel shy, some of them are insecure what others are going to say about their questions. So they do not ask questions, and since that, the teacher's lessons go flying. The topics are covered very fast because no one asks questions, so the teacher assumes that everyone got the concept right, even though we know that more than 50% of the students, they don't have perhaps the concept, because then in our group chat of classmates, we can see them asking the questions that the same teacher asked if they had any and no one asked, right? So it would be really cool that even though some teachers feel that their classes, all students understood, trust me, not all students understand through online and they have a lot of difficulties. So even though if students doesn't ask questions, for the teachers to go over the content, at least by pointers or stuff like that, because as you can see, if we want to move on together, the teacher, I know the teacher is human just like us, but the teacher should make us understand for everyone to understand the concept, all of us all together, and we're gonna move together this way.
All right, thank you, Kevin. Just the teachers have to make an effort to make sure that you reach those students who are a bit shy, right? Okay, so I believe we should have a few minutes. These are all the questions we have for you guys today, but we should have a few minutes for questions from the audience. For you guys, are there any questions? Questions for our students?
Good morning. I had a question I posted in the chat. My name's Tim Damey. I work for the University of Belize with the Faculty of Science and Technology. And I would like to just start off by saying thank you for your presentation so far. I'll start my video so you can see me as well there. My question is I'm wondering what you all think would be effective class sizes. What are some of the class sizes that you currently have? And at what point does it become counterproductive and hard to get not only the attention in the live sessions, but also the attention when it comes to feedback from your lecturers? So I'd be interested in hearing that. Thank you.
Would you like to hear from any one of the students or?
Anyone anyone, all of them, whoever feels comfortable answering that. I'll put that open out there because I think they all probably have something to say on that topic. I think it's a very important topic because I know that if class sizes get up over 100, it's very difficult in a 60-minute or 75-minute session to be able to get your question in. And like somebody mentioned before, a lot of the same students will ask questions, but that's not necessarily always because they're most vocal, but it's because they grab the mic the quickest, right? And also a time allotment as well.
So, sir, excuse me. So your question is, you are asking us how big or how many classmates are in our classes during online, right?
Correct.
Okay. In my case, in my class, we have 28 students. It's 28 of us, right? Sometimes it's 29, 30 due to remedial purposes, but um, this doesn't really affect us, because as I said, we can have over 100 students. But what if only 4 or 5 students are asking questions? Still only 5 students will be learning, or it can be just 15 students. But what if only 4 or 5 students are asking questions? Still only 4 or 5 students will be getting benefit.
What about
Thank you.
the interaction for grading? Like, so for example, if I'm a lecturer and I have 100 students as opposed to 25 students, it's obviously going to take me longer to provide you with real feedback in written form that you'll be able to learn from any type of developmental errors that you made maybe in an assignment. Do you feel that at some point, you may lose that? Is there anybody who has class sizes of 40, 50, 60, 70, or 100 that might want to mention, if they're having that issue? I would be interested in hearing that.
Okay. I believe our average classes are about like 28, 25 to 30, 32 students. That's what my average of students is. Anybody care to answer this? It's about what is the productivity? Does it affect the productivity of the students in the class when these classes are bigger than they are, right? Numbers like 100 students in one class. I haven't had that scenario since summer course. I believe I had my biggest number was about 80 students. That was about 2 classes in one, right? For the teacher, it is a challenge, I must say, in terms of giving back feedback. You have 80 people versus 28. So that makes it a bit more challenging to reach every student on the same level when there are only a few that want to reach you and ask questions. So it becomes challenging when you have more, because then if you try to reach 30, 40, there's always 80 or there's always 60 more than the ones that you can reach, right? So that's a very good question, and I agree it's more challenging with more students enrolled in an online class.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Mahitani. Now, we have already um, arrived to the end of the presentation due to time constraints. Thank you, audience, for submitting your questions. I want to remind you that our next breakout session will start in a few. So thank you, everyone, for this wonderful session, students and Mr. Marcos, for being with us this morning. And thank you, CUBEC members, for your participation in this session.